disrespect of R&B on this top 100 list is crazy. No Mariah Carey, no Whitney Houston. Me personally, I would love to see Donell Jones' Where I Want to Be album somewhere in the mix. And you got Usher Confessions at number 95. That's kind of crazy. Top of the Top, episode 251, Stash House Podcast. Your boy Tyler checking in. First time listeners, thank y'all for tuning in. If you tune in weekly, salute. And this is just an episode. Saw some topics you may want to hear about. Thank you as well. Podcast available on all podcast streaming platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Like this video. Hit the thumbs up on the YouTube video. Subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. However you prefer to listen or watch this podcast, thank y'all for tuning in all around. Hope everyone had a safe weekend, Memorial Day weekend, so you spent time with your family, your friends. Hope everyone enjoyed it, made it home safe. If you're back at work, salute. If you're still on vacation from a 3-day, 4-day, 5-day weekend, whatever you want to call it, salute to you as well. And this week episode is kind of going to mirror that. I'm trying to mirror the fact that we're coming off holiday weekend, some people off work. So this episode, I'm talking about the Apple Music Top 100 album list that came out over the week. Just some good music talk this episode, not no new albums, not the NBA playoffs. I'm going to talk about hip-hop albums that I think should have been on this list or were on this list. Pop albums, rock bands, just all around the board. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and let's talk about this Apple Music Top 100 album list. And to start things off, I want to read a tweet from Ebro from Hot 97, and he also works at Apple Music, and he took it upon himself to tweet out the criteria the Apple Music employees were given to determine these albums. So the tweet says, and I have the tweet on the video if you're watching on YouTube as well. The tweet says, voters of the 100 best on Apple Music were challenged to not vote for our favorites, but the criterias: albums that represented a cultural moment for the artist or genre, albums that were complete thoughts, not just a collection of songs, albums that thoroughly represent culture in production and lyrics, albums that inspire a generation to want to create more music, albums that represent the best in storytelling, musicianship, recording, and production, and lastly, albums that are timeless and reach far beyond the genre categorization. So that's the criteria that was given to the Apple Music employees on determining these albums. Take with that information as you will, but me mostly, I'm just go over most of these albums, not all 100, but ones that stand out, ones I felt like could be replaced with another album, or perhaps that artist have another album I prefer to have in the top 100 than the album that they listed. There's no secret. It's a list. People have controversial opinions about it. Do it, like I said, do with that information as you will, from the top 10 to the top 50, wherever. But when you get down to it, this list overall is kind of crazy. When you talk about hip-hop, R&B, rock, pop, artists like Beach Boys, then you got albums like The Blueprint, then you got Good Kid, Mad City, then you come back with a Frank Ocean. It's so many albums that they put like right after each other. It's kind of crazy. Like, how did you get to this album at 84 and this album at 80? It's wild. It gets people talking. That's the whole purpose of this list. Not here to talk about the numbering, just my overall opinion. But off rip, I already knew what type of list this was going to be at number 98. Number 98, they got Travis Scott, Astroworld. That's my generation splat right there to start off this list. Y'all know how I feel. It was a good Travis Scott album, but I think some people overhyped it. Some people love Astroworld way more than I do. I said it on record numerous times. The way people felt about Astroworld is how I felt about Birds in the Trap. But nonetheless, I would not have it in my top 100 list. I would easily replace Astroworld with Thug Motivation 101 Jeezy. Like I said, I'm already looking at, me personally, I'm looking at this list a certain way. If you're telling me the top 100, it's going to be hard for me to get streaming era albums in that bunch, for me personally. I'll say the streaming era started, 2016, I'll say, officially, to now where we at in 2024, of course. But I can get to 100 albums to where I had to go buy the actual CD. My mom had to go actually buy the CD, cousins, friends, whatever you want to call it. So I think that era does hold more weight than the streaming era. So off rip, I'll replace Astro World with Jeezy Thug Motivation 101. And if you understand what I'm saying, obviously they don't have Jeezy Thug Motivation 101 already in the top 100 list, which is crazy to me. That's when you talk about Southern classic, not just hip hop classics, mainly the South, Thug Motivation 101 probably at the top of the list. If you're just talking about street records, commercial records, movement, cultural impact, all that put together, you get TN 101. Shout out to Jeezy. Now, number 95, already, like I said, I know what type of list this is. Number 95, Usher Confessions. One of the greatest R&B albums ever, Confessions, is at number 95 on the top 100 albums of all time list. And I echo what Jermaine Dupri said. Jermaine Dupri said the disrespect of R&B on this top 100 list is crazy. No Mariah Carey, no Whitney Houston. Me personally, I would love to see Donell Jones' Where I Want to Be album somewhere in the mix. And you got Usher Confessions at number 95. That's kind of crazy. Number 93, Solange, A Seat at the Table. It goes to streaming era. I love this album. It goes to the streaming era, though. That was 2017, I want to say. Love the album. Don't Touch My Hair. That's one of my favorite songs ever. I love Solange, Seat at the Table, but it goes to show it's like, it's kind of hard to not include some streaming eras, but I feel like with all genres included, I can get to 100 before a streaming era. Even though that's technically, I was in college, this is technically my era of adulthood, streaming era. But it's like that physical, it does hold a special place in my heart. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Solange. Number 92, Flower Boy, Tyler, the Creator. Personally, Flower Boy, I said it numerous times, that's the album that got me on Tyler, the Creator. Like when he first came out, 2011, with the Eating the Roaches video and just the Odd Future movement, I was looking like, what the hell? As being a Gucci baby, 1017 Gucci baby at the time, I'm looking like, what the hell going on over there on the West Coast? They got these kids, Odd Future, and look at the cultural impact that entire group has had now in 2024. Just goes to show, certain artists may need certain time to pick up, but Flower Boy for me was the one that put me on Tyler, the Creator. Like, okay, he does make music I can vibe with. Flower Boy was that album. Number 86, Mary J. Blige, My Life. Can't be mad at seeing Mary J. Blige on this list. She's been putting in work for a long time, still putting in work at the moment. And I'm thinking her character, y'all please got to remind me, her character should still be alive in Power Ghost, which is, by the way, about to start their last season in a couple weeks. So Mary J. Blige, icon, still doing her thing. This is why I get mad at again. Number 84, Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg. Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg is one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. And it's at number 84. Come on, man. From start to finish, I probably was just about to be born or wasn't born yet when Snoop dropped Doggy Style. And you could just go back and watch the video of that era from Snoop and you could just tell that was the West Coast vibe. From San Andreas to the movies that was coming out, it seemed like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg with the Chronic first, then going to Doggy Style, it seems as if they embodied the West Coast at that era. And it's just a feeling that, like I say, my generation, we so engulfed with the 90s. That seems like the era a lot of people would like to live in from my era. I know it's crazy if you're older hearing that, but my generation, we have been engulfed with the 90s for so long. It's like, dang, why couldn't we been 18, 21? Even though it still had the negative with it as well, but the positive seemed to outweigh the negative from my generation standpoint. And Doggy Style, definitely. Number 82, another cultural impactful hip-hop album, 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. Just that movement. I remember seeing 50 come on the scene with Wankster. Like I said, I'm from the South, so I wasn't up on 50 mixtapes like that growing up. my first sight of him was Wankster. And I was upset that he was going that Ja Rule, because at the time, being an elementary school kid, seeing Ja Rule videos on BET, it just seemed like the best thing in the world. Then you got 50 Cent coming on the scene, calling him a Wankster, and learning about they beef through mixtapes and the beef DVD, and it's like, dang. And that's still a beef that goes on to this day. They never shy away from taking shots at each other. So 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. I mean, Many Men, In the Club, of course, What Up Gangsta, High All the Time. He got records front to back, 21 Questions. And that's just the commercial records, really. But when you listen to Get Rich or Die Trying, and I was just a kid at that era, and you saw the 50 Cent movement, and he's still successful to this day. He's working on a lot of different things, as you see on the timeline, but shout out to 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. One of the best debuts in hip-hop history as well. Wish it'd be higher. Though. Number 80, the Marshall Mathers LP, Eminem. We got Madonna, 77, Elton John, 78, Lana Del Rey, 79, Bad Bunny, Un Verano CT. My Puerto Rican Spanish people, if I said that wrong, I apologize. At number 76, y'all know how I feel about that Bad Bunny album that came out a couple years ago when I went to Puerto Rico with my boy Zoe. Shout out to him. And just seeing right when that album dropped, going to Puerto Rico, his home country, and just seeing the impact that had in the streets, literally. Like, we just walking, you hear Bad Bunny playing, people dancing on the sidewalks. I felt that Bad Bunny album in Puerto Rico when it dropped in 2022. So that album does hold a special place in my heart just because of that off the rip. Super Duper Fly, Missy Elliott, number 75. SZA, SOS, number 72. I think, just from my vantage point, that the Control album had more of an impact. But SOS, just seeing what it's done within the past years since it came out, just top charting, sold out tours, it's probably more impactful than Control. Because if Control was on 10, SOS on 20. Because Control, I was like, man, I never seen nobody do a vibe like this coming off Solange, and you had SZA, Control. I was like, man, I don't know how SZA going to recreate that. And SOS seemed to do it. So shout out to SZA. Number 70, NWA, Straight Outta Compton. In terms of gangster rap, it doesn't get more cultural impactful than Straight Outta Compton. In terms of gangster rap, that's in the Smithsonian of gangster rap, NWA, Straight Outta Compton. Number 65, 3 Feet High and Rising, De La Soul. Number 64, Baduizm, Erykah Badu. Number 63, Are You Experienced, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Number 62, Tupac, All Eyes on Me, the double disc. Number 61, Love Deluxe, Sade. Still can never go wrong with some Sade. Number 55, Anti, Rihanna. Oh, I skipped number 57. Number 57, Voodoo, D'Angelo. Personally, I would have had Brown Sugar in there. If you want to give D'Angelo a top 100 spot, it got to be the Brown Sugar album. I prefer that over the Voodoo album. Number 52, Appetite and Destruction, Guns N' Roses. Number 51, Sign of the Times, Prince. Number 47, we got Drake, Take Care. Personally, I'm a Nothing Was the Same type of guy when it comes to Drake albums. But I will say Take Care probably had more of the impact. Like the whole light skin trend, like all that from Take Care. Because Nothing Was the Same was just a overall better album to me than Take Care. But I understand Take Care placement. Number 46, Exodus, Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown. That's Bob Marley, man. Oh, I got to clip that one. Bobby Brown doing the Exodus album would have been crazy. Oh, boy. Number 46, Exodus, Bobby. All right, I gotta pull the curtain back real quick, y'all. So I'm reading these lists. I'm trying to keep up with the list, right? So I get to number 46, Exodus, Bob Marley, and the Wailers. And I keep wanting to say Exodus, Bobby Brown. My bad, Bob Marley. Damn. Number 46, Exodus, Bob Marley, and the Wailers. Shout out to Bobby Brown too. I'm sure New Edition should have had some type of placement on here. I'm getting through the list in real time too, by the way. So if I'm slipping, I apologize. But I hope New Edition does have an album somewhere on here. Number 44, Stevie Wonder, Inner Visions. Number 42, Control, Janet Jackson. Shout out to Janet Jackson. Still looking good. Number 41, Aquemini, Outkast. And that's been a running debate with Outkast. Is it ATLiens? Is it Aquemini? Is it Speaker Box, Love Below? Like, how do people rank Outkast albums? I love Aquemini. I love ATLiens. I love Southern Playalistic. The Speaker Box, Love Below double disc. That's the one that got them shot through the roof. Grammys and all that. The Idlewild soundtrack. Outkast with Big Boy doing great in fatherhood and music. Andre 3000, like I said, he did the Flute album. I wasn't mad at it, but we need one more Outkast run. It don't gotta be a 20-song album. Just give me a solid 10, and you do select shows in Atlanta, LA, New York. Just do the big markets. We just need one more run from Outkast, man. Just one more, especially since Rico Wade passed. Do it in tribute to Rico Wade and the Dungeon family, man. Just give us one more Outkast. But that's a solid. I'm not mad so far in terms of, like I said, you got to put certain out. You got to have the AC/DCs. You got to have the Lady Gagas in there. Who else from that pop rock world that I see? Rage Against the Machine, U2. It's certain albums I know they got to put in for different cultures as well. But it's obvious that the hip-hop R&B culture is dominant. I just wish they showed more love in terms of R&B albums from, like, the 90s, the ones that the Faith Evans, the SWVs, Donnell Jones, like I said. I feel like Juvenile, 400 Degrees should be on here somewhere too, by the way. Continuing on, number 40, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, Aretha Franklin. Number 39, another hip-hop classic, Nas, Illmatic. Number 37, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, Wu-Tang Clan. 36, Beyonce self-titled album. Number 32, Ready to Die, the Notorious B.I.G. So hip-hop is in here. Hip-hop has a heavy presence on this list. I just think for us as a culture, like, you can't have number 32, Ready to Die, number 39, Nas, Illmatic, and have Doggy Style way at the beginning of the list. That's the issue. Doggy Style should be in the mix with Illmatic and Ready to Die, if not higher on the list, honestly, than those two. So that's the issue I got. It's just the ranking. And now you got a Billie Eilish, number 30. You know what I'm saying? And number 29, Low End Theory, A Tribe Called Quest. It's like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Just when you add all the genres together, it's like, nah, hip-hop should rank more supreme against some of these albums. But that's just our culture. We don't know how some people may feel about a U2 album, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Metallica. You know what I'm saying? So I get it overall. Number 26, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye West. A lot of people can make the argument, if Kanye West wasn't in the state that he's in now, if it was 8 years ago, that album would be probably top 5, just based off Apple Music and what that album really meant to the new generation of hip-hop and R&B. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is high on a lot of people's lists. Some people may call it the perfect album, and I do not kid y'all. Even though we love College Dropout, we love Late Registration, we love Graduation, to the masses, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is in a league of its own. And I know for a fact, if it weren't for the politics of the music business, that album probably be top 5, honestly, on this list. Number 23, Discovery, Daft Punk. Number 22, Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. Number 21, Revolver, The Beatles. Number 20, Pet Sounds, The Beach Boys. And now I want to get in my rock bag a little bit. I'm kind of surprised. I don't see no Fall Out Boy, no Green Day. What's my guy name, that group that had a lot of wrestling soundtracks back in the Attitude Era? No, the Ruthless Aggression era. With Arms Wide Open. Creed, yeah. Creed, I'm sure Creed, Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Blink-182, Shit, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. I'm sure somebody has a better album than the Beach Boys. Shout out to the Beach Boys, no disrespect, but just my generation seeing that pop and that rock culture just come about in the late 90s, early 2000s, I'm sure it's a classic somewhere in that mix. I want to say Fall Out Boy might have a classic. I'm not that educated for the most part. Most I know about rock music, the thing that got me on rock music the most growing up, MTV in the mornings, of course, getting ready for school, but mostly wrestling games, the SmackDown versus Raws, those were the one that got me on rock music. Madden 2005 and Madden 2006 had a big impact, but the biggest impact I had growing up that like got me in tune with the rock and roll culture, Tony Hawk Underground 1 and 2. Tony Hawk Underground 1 and 2, some of the best soundtracks I've heard. Shout out to Saints Row 1 and 2. They had some rock stations that used to go in as well. So just playing video games as a kid is how I got in tune with certain rock artists and wrestling, of course, because wrestling had pay-per-views and a certain rock group would have the soundtrack to that pay-per-view. So running during packages, after commercial breaks. The pay-per-view, the theme song is by the group name, 3 Days Grace, something like that. So that what really got me in tune with the rock culture. And like I said, VH1 and MTV as well. And I always ask this, like, where is the rock culture at nowadays? We never hear about rock artists. It's either R&B, hip-hop, or just flat-out pop. If it's not, the closer you'll get to rock is maybe, I don't want to say the house music way, but it just, you don't see rock and roll stars no more. And with social media, you think one of them pop out, be like, yeah, he's a drummer over at, but you never hear about rock and roll people no more. I wonder, like, what's the vibe like over there now? Because, like, in the mid-2000s, like I said, playing Madden and SmackDown versus Raw and Tony Hawk, it was like, man, these boys had hit records. And now you just don't hear from them no more. So I wonder what's up with that. Jumping back to this list, number 19, The Chronic, Dr. Dre. It goes back, like, how you going to have Doggy Style way back there and have The Chronic right here when people may make the argue that overall album, Doggy Style may be over The Chronic. But The Chronic was the layup to the whole West Coast as we know it now, honestly. So shout out to The Chronic. One of the best CDs looks ever with the weed plant too, by the way. Number 18, 1989, Taylor Swift. Number 17, What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. So, like I said, I'm reading this in real time, and I was getting kind of worried. I'm like, okay, I don't see What's Going On by Marvin Gaye yet. You know what I'm saying? If you want to talk about just black culture and all, like during the pandemic, that's the album you listen to. It's like, wait a minute, we've been going through this for a long time. Back even when Marvin Gaye made a whole album about like what's going on with the black community, like what's going on, like different songs just, and then you heard it during the pandemic, and you like, whoa, like certain albums hit you different when you went through the world shutting down and you went back and listened to what was going on, whether it was 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years ago, and you realize at that time in 2020, it's like, man, we haven't gotten nowhere yet. Not where we should be. How much we've been held back. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? We're talking cultural impact. One of the most cultural impactful albums, period, overall, ever. Shout out to Marvin Gaye. Long live Marvin Gaye. Number 15, 21, Adele. Number 13, The Blueprint, Jay-Z. I did not know The Blueprint was the album for Jay-Z until I was in college, basically, until I growed up. Because think about it, for one, it dropped on 9/11. I didn't know that till years later. I think they said Jay-Z, Blueprint, and one of Fabulous albums both dropped on 9/11. And with both of them being signed to Def Jam in New York, they say the building was just, scattering because Jay-Z the top artist in the game, Fabulous up and coming. They both dropped albums, and of course we know the events that happened on 9/11. So I never knew that growing up. And then, like I said, I didn't know that was the album for Jay-Z. Because growing up, it was always Volume 2 for me. It's still Volume 2 for me. I love Volume 2. It was on the Rush Hour soundtrack, Reservoir Dogs. He just had records I love. But Blueprint was the one. Blueprint was the one with the Just Blaze, Kanye beats. I remember H to the Izzo. I remember Girls, Girls, Girl. I remember all these songs. But I didn't know, like, that second part, Never Change, all those records where he just talking real slick to the record labels and everybody, I didn't know. And of course, that what started the whole Nas and Jay-Z beef with the Takeover song as well. So I didn't know that was the album for Jay-Z until I got older. And it is a great album. It is great. I'm surprised it's at number 13. I personally would put The Chronic above it, Doggy Style, All Eyes on Me, Ready to Die, shit, Life After Death. There's a few albums I'll put before Blueprint, personally. But Girls, 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 that was one of my early memories as well, like watching videos on BET and MTV. Just him, seeing that video, him knocking on different girl doors, and just the whole aspect of the song with the sample, yeah, holds a very, very strong place within me growing up in terms of music. Shout out to Jay-Z, Blueprint. Number 10, Lemonade, Beyonce. Surprised to see number 10 Beyonce like that. I'm surprised. I'm not the Beyonce person in terms of like rank her albums. Like if you ask me what's my favorite Beyonce album, I'm gonna say the one my mom bought for her. So when I got in the car with my mom, she always played the album, the one with That's the album I remember because my mom bought it and she just played it from front to back. So that's the album I'll go to for Beyonce, but I do know the impact Lemonade had. So now we're in the top 10. First, like I said, Beyonce, Lemonade. Number 9, Nirvana, Nevermind. Really not going to hear me complain about Nirvana ever. Like just seeing documentaries about that group, lead singer and everything, just the impact he had on his culture at the time. I can never really say nothing bad about Nirvana. Amy Winehouse, Back to Black. She has a movie coming out too about her life. Amy Winehouse. Number 7, Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick Lamar. I wouldn't say top 10 albums ever in terms of all the genres combined. I'll get to some hip-hop albums before I get to Kendrick, Good Kid. I'm not mad at it because it's one of those albums for me. I was in college. I was like, whoa, like, this like a movie. Like, you were thinking he was about to announce a movie afterwards. The album is a movie. Songs are great, top some charts, but it's something I'll get to before Good Kid. I love it, though. I love it they put in the top 10. You're going with the politics of the rap game. I understand it. Some people might have said Pimp a Butterfly before that, but Good Kid, I was surprised to see it in the top 10. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. And I'm thinking about it now. You mean to tell me from my generation, the only hip-hop albums from my generation, in terms of I was in college or high school when it dropped, Good Kid, Mad City, Drake, Take Care, and Travis Scott, Astroworld? Those were the only 3, right? Like I said, with Drake, Take Care, I'd rather put Nothing Was the Same. I wouldn't have been mad at that. I wouldn't have Travis Scott in there, no way. Like I said, I put 10 101. I did Ludacris, Chicken and Beer. I'm sure Tip got one. I'd have put probably UGK, one of UGK albums, Riding Dirty probably in place of Travis Scott. Yeah, that's kind of odd that, yeah, and you got Blueprint, you got Ready to Die, All Eyes on Me, Chronic, Doggy Style, Illmatic, Wu-Tang, Tribe, De La Soul. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't really do lists. Y'all know I don't really do lists. If I do like my mid-year episode or the end of the year episode, I do like my personal favorites. Like I said, personal favorites is going to be a lot more Southern artists in the mix. So I'm surprised Rick Ross, Teflon Don not on here. But I guess a certain criteria. Good Kid, Mad City, top 10, though. Not mad at it, but I was shocked to see. It. Number 6, Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder, No Complaints. Number 5, Frank Ocean, Blonde. Another one I was like, whoa. I was excited for Blonde when it came out, but it just didn't hit me like Frank Ocean overall never really hit me like it hit his fan base. Like his fan base look at him a certain way. And I never really got that vibe. Like he had great songs, but I guess the aura he got, the mystique he got is what the fans are into. You know you got fan bases that love that. But Blonde, man, I may have to revisit it. I'm going to revisit Blonde. But number 5 of all time, I was shocked to see that. Number 4, Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution. Number 3, Abbey Road, The Beatles. Number 2, Michael Jackson, Thriller. And number 1, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill. Now, a lot of questions. A lot. Like I said, number 5, Blonde, Frank Ocean, Caught Off Guard. The top 4, I'm not surprised to see Purple Rain there. I'm not surprised to see Abbey Road, The Beatles. That holds a place. I learned about that at community college in music class. We had a whole, I want to say, maybe the whole semester was like dedicated to the Beatles. If not a whole month, maybe a whole month. We had a part of our music class, our teacher, he dedicated to the Beatles, the questionable things about Paul McCartney, everything. Like everything I never knew about the Beatles. Like I just knew they had albums, John Lennon, Paul McCartney. I knew the members, but I didn't know the story until that class. So shout out to the Beatles. Well, for that class, I might have felt different, but taking that class at CV and our instructor being so passionate about it, showing the different documentaries and stuff, it was like, whoa. Like that's how I am about hip-hop culture, the way he was about the Beatles. So I totally respect Abbey Road being top 5 off of that alone, and I know what it meant for that culture as well. I thought Michael Jackson Thriller is going to be number 1. I don't care about Prince is a creator, Michael had help. I don't care about none of that. Michael Jackson should have had at least 3 albums in the top 10. Thriller, Bad, and Off the Wall. Those could have been all in the top 3. That's what I'm saying. Don't get caught up in the numbering. I'm still mad Doggy Style is where it's at. I'm mad Usher Confessions is where it's at. So I'm getting to the top 10. I'm like, okay, I know Michael Jackson got to be. No, he ain't had no Michael Jackson albums yet. Michael Jackson had at least 3 in the top 10 and definitely 3 in the top 100 of all time. Maybe Prince as well. But Thriller number 2, I'm like, well, shit, what the hell number 1 is? if Thriller, if we talking everything, pick a category. Sales, he got it. Videos, legendary. Grammys, got it. Performances, got it times 1,000. You still haven't seen people just get crying, passing out, the crowd lift them up, and crowd serve their ass to the front so security can just carry them out from passing out. I've never seen nobody have the cultural impact of Michael Jackson, and we were born way after hip-hop. Thriller came out in what, 83, 84, something like that? You got people that were born in 93 like myself, 94, 95, 96, who remember where they was when they heard the news Michael Jackson passed. I heard they working on a new biopic. Man, look, make it a Netflix series or something. You can't fit that man's life. Shit, the Jackson 5 movie was about 6 hours long. And that's just over the Jackson 5. You do a Michael Jackson biopic, man, just go and throw it on streaming and put it down to parts. Come on, man. So I'm like, if Thriller number 2, what's number 1? The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. And I instantly thought, well, wait a minute. There was no neo-soul representation as well. You had the Voodoo by D'Angelo, but damn, no Maxwell. You know what I'm saying? Music Soul Child. I'm like, wait a minute now. Jill Scott. I'm like, wait a minute. Was any neo-soul included on this? And y'all just went straight number 1, Lauryn Hill, which is a great album, The Miseducation. Don't get me wrong. But number 1? And it doesn't help the fact that Lauryn Hill, she's Lauryn Hill. So it's like, wait a minute. So I don't think there's no politics involved in this. Because Lauryn Hill don't really be in the light like that. Lauryn Hill be just ducked off in the cut. She show up to her concerts when she show up to her concerts. But outside of that, you don't hear about Lauryn Hill. So I was thrown off. That's when the numbering aspect really caught up with me. Because I was already tripping. I was like, okay, at least I know number 1 they're going to have Thriller. That's obvious. But when I got the Thriller, and I remember like, wait a minute, it's the first Michael Jackson album on this list? Did you go to Lauryn Hill without really too much neo soul, no Alicia Keys in the mix. I was surprised. No DMX album. I was surprised. But his list, like I said, I'm not here to really debate, oh, this should be number one. I got Michael Jackson Thriller number one. I really don't know where they pulled Miseducation. I won't be mad at Miseducation, maybe the top 20. Because like I said, overall, in terms of the hip-hop community, people always want to argue, well, is it a hip-hop album? Is it R&B? Is one of them that you consider just an overall great album? I was shocked to see number one. I ain't going to be mad at top 20. I ain't going to be mad at top 20. If you would have had Miseducation at number 20 or something and kicked out the Beach Boys, I wouldn't have been mad. Give me Lauryn Hill number 20. Give me The Chronic number 19. I wouldn't have been mad. But number one over Thriller? First of all, two different vibes off rip. You know that. But I was surprised. Kendrick Lamar number 7. I was surprised. It's some I was like just laughing, like Beyonce number 10. Like, okay, I get it. Like I said, Jay-Z Blueprint number 13. I was like, okay, I get it, but I was like, one day I'll do like a real list and just not my personal favorite. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause anybody ask me my top 5, I'm going to give y'all my personal favorite. People who I listened to growing up who had impacts on me at certain times in my life. That's what I go off of. I don't go off of Wayne just because he was rapping better than everybody at the time. It's like, no, like, Wayne was the reason like we was tuning in for Dat Piff and live mixtapes. And when they say Lil Wayne coming on 106 in Park for Carter 3, I remember I had to tune in. Video premiere, you going Access Granted, Lollipop video. I remember when that happened. I remember Wayne, Hot Boys era, Project Shit song, you know, all that. It's more than just what he's saying and how he say it. Gucci the same way, Currency, Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Just they got more than just songs I like. It's like these the guys I was listening to studying for tests in college and high school, and this is what I was riding to at prom, and that's, you know what I'm saying? So it's more than just lyrics, but I want to get to like point where I can just give my overall opinion on these my top favorite lyricists. These my top favorite albums. You know what I'm saying? Because shit, I can do better than this. At least number 1, Lauryn Hill. Number 2, Thriller. Damn, tough crowd. But yeah, if you got any thoughts on this list, any album that you thought should have been mentioned, top 10, top 5, however you feel, it's just been the talk of the week, nothing too crazy. Coming off a lot of crazy news been going on the past weeks in music and in sports. But yeah, I just want to take it easy this week. So this has been episode 251, Stash House Podcast. Hope everyone had a great week, great weekend. Do the same this upcoming weekend. Be aware of your surroundings. Drink plenty of water if you're going on vacation. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't straddle off from the group. Just enjoy yourselves. You know what I'm saying? We only got one life to live. Let's enjoy it while we can. Sending my love and prayers out to everybody. Keep me in your prayers. I'll do the same for y'all. Salute.